Hey everybody, Congressman Mark Green, Whiteboard Wednesday, and today we're going to talk about oil and gas and the Biden administration and the corruption that's happening. First, let's talk about selling oil to China. 950,000 barrels of our oil to the Chinese. Now, the Department of Defense calls China our pacing threat, essentially our enemy for the next decades. And here Joe Biden is giving from our strategic reserve, which by the way is already at the lowest level that it's been in 36 years, almost 1 million barrels of our oil. And interestingly enough, it's a company with ties to Hunter Biden. More on that in a bit. Fuel costs are already up 106% in this country, and we're giving away our strategic reserve to the Chinese. You got to ask yourself why we would do that. We're in a crisis now. Why in the world would we give our strategic reserve oil to China? Well, there might be a reason why. Hunter Biden's private equity firm, which he has a huge stake in, has a 1.7 billion stake in the Chinese company that got the oil. Unipec, the parent company, is actually owned by the Chinese government. So Joe Biden's connections to the Chinese government through his son Hunter, we give almost 1 million barrels of oil from our strategic reserve when it's already low in the midst of an oil and gas crisis. Unbelievable. And if it didn't benefit Hunter, what's the whole point of it anyway? Why would we give it to the Chinese when our farmers need diesel fuel and gas for producing food for our country? And we all know what happens during the midst of a hurricane. Long gas lines, prices go up, and here we are giving away our strategic reserve. Look, the Biden administration policies are crushing American families. 2/3 of families in America say that the gas price is the source of the inflation and the economic crisis we're dealing with. Clearly, if a farmer has to put higher priced diesel in his tractor, her tractor, plowing those fields, producing the crops and the grains, etc., is going to result in a higher price of those grains at market. And he can blame the fuel price on Putin, but we all know the fact is oil was way up, proportionally way more up than after the Ukraine invasion. It is a lie to say this is all Putin. And he's ignoring the solutions that would actually fix the oil crisis in the first place. More regulation under Joe Biden than any president in the history of the U.S. in the first year. Of course, we know the story about the Keystone Pipeline and the other pipeline issues. No leases in the Gulf and Alaska, not permitting the seismic studies that would allow the oil companies to know if there's oil under the leases that they are granting. Drilling. They're not allowing it because if you don't know the oil that's under the ground, you're not going to build a well there. And then, of course, they've leveraged the SEC to actually attack the capital markets that loan to the oil companies. This is a crisis of Joe Biden's making, and in the midst of it, he's selling oil to China. I wonder why. That's Whiteboard Wednesday.